Hey, what's up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again with, yes, a surprise episode of Cloud Gamer Chronicles. I know it was on hiatus. However, there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good stuff, a lot of, schedule changing stuff. First and foremost, PNTS Network, which this show is affiliated with. This is another PNTS Network show. If you don't know what PNTS Network is, it is a collaboration of various game streamers, podcasters, just content creators all together in regards to gaming and tech. And if you want to check out what we have to offer, which is a lot of great content, definitely go to pntsnetwork.com. Check out all the good stuff there. All right. So we're going through a facelift at PNTS Network, and we're going to be welcoming some new people to the family to help in our efforts of trying to widen our footprint to get the things that we think and feel about gaming out there, and try to put our parts into the whole gaming plateau in regards to conversations, raising awareness, all that awesome stuff, right? Now, this show, for those that are not familiar with this is Cloud Gamer Chronicles. This show is just it's not on a set schedule, but it's our efforts to cover all things cloud gaming. Okay. And we want to cover cloud gaming news, cloud gaming conversations, things of that nature. It's right now content that's tied to our membership program here at Stadia Dosage News. But at some point in time, it is going to be segregated into its own, I can't type here. See, I got to remove that message. And we got to say, did it remove? Unpin message first. And then let's remove it. I'm going to say, for more great content like this, you got to excuse me here. More great content like this, visit GPS. I could have sworn I hit that network.com. That was extremely weird. And do I have network or netwalk? Network.com. All right, sorry. I'm setting up this card for anybody that is visiting us on YouTube. For all my audio listeners, you know what I mean? Just so you know, like, what the heck is going on here? All right, so the message is pinned. Okay, good. Now the link is good. All right, so here's the deal, y'all. This show is going to be right now part of the Stadia Dosage News membership content. However, it's going to be segregated out to its own platform in due time. We're kind of still like in a beta phase, so that's why you see episode 0.0.9. That's our way of saying that it's like in a beta. When you get to episode 0.1, you know what I mean? Then it'll be out of beta phase. So here's the deal, y'all. We want to talk about cloud gaming as it relates to Stadia and Luna. We're going to be bringing up all the other platforms at some juncture, but we're going to have a heavy focus on Stadia and Luna. Why? Because looking at all the evidence, I feel that Stadia and Luna have a safety net in regards to their sustainability that everybody else doesn't have. And I know Stadia and Luna get looked at. They get looked at with ire. They get ridiculed. They get laughed at. And people that are traditional gamers, traditional hardcore gamers at that don't really understand cloud gaming, haven't tried it, don't understand what it's trying to accomplish, where it's at right now, and what its milestones are. They look at those two and they say, this ain't the future. Like, everybody's not hopping on Luna. Stadia's getting ridiculed. xCloud fell short of expectations, even with its Series X server blade upgrades. It fell short of expectations. All that stuff, right? This is not the future. So you got a lot of traditional gamers just dogging this way of gaming. A lot of it, well, most of it is because, if not all, is because of armchair quarterbacking. We talk about that in this past episode of SML Podcast. It was a great episode, so definitely check it out. I think it was episode... Oh, I can't remember. 35. Episode 35. Definitely check it out. And I want to thank you all also for showing up after our fantastic episode of the Numbers Show for Stadia. It's another great show. Our July 4th edition. So hopefully for those of you that are on the Barbie, you're enjoying your hot dog, your steaks, whatever you opine. For my vegan people out there, your barbecue, your grilled tofu, or for my pescatarians out there. I've gone from vegan to pescatarian. For my pescatarians out there, enjoying your grilled salmon, your grilled fish. Ain't nothing like some good grilled salmon, man. I'm telling you, it is the best. That's all I've been eating, man. My wallets have been hurting because salmon ain't cheap. You know what I'm saying? You get some real good wild-caught salmon, it ain't cheap. But I hope you guys are enjoying all your tasty tidbits while you're listening to this. And thank you again for supporting our content. TNSS, SML Podcast, additional shows that are part of the PNTS Network family of shows. All right. Now, before I go any further, though, I do want to bring up something from the co-host of the Numbers Show for Stadia, the aforementioned show, my good friend Jack Deslett. Let me see if I do this right. Hopefully I do this right. Okay. So, is that right without showing y'all? There we go. All right. Check this out, y'all. This is the Summer Community Championships. And what is the Summer Community Championships? Well, it's an opportunity for gamers to register for a tournament style of gameplay via the Stadia platform. They're all going to be Stadia games. And to win up to, as you see here, register for free for your chance to win up to $1,400. The registration ends July 9th, 2021. And the championships start, I believe, July 10th, the following day. So what you're going to want to do is ensure that you are part of this, that you're signed up. Do not miss out on your chance. Play some great Stadia games. I have the honor of being on the planning committee, and I'm telling you, they got a lot of great stuff lined up for all of you. So you definitely want to tune into, you'll definitely want to sign up for that. Go ahead and do that before the 9th, because this is going to be a great thing for the Stadia community, trying to bring back that great Stadia enthusiasm that people still have, and they definitely have it now because of Rainbow Six Siege and games like that. Oh man, it's awesome. But we don't have the events that we used to have surrounding Stadia. So we're trying to get content creators, people together, gamers in general, just to celebrate Stadia gaming, just to show those that are even new to the platform that, hey, this is just, at the end of the day, this is all about gaming. We just want people to understand, as Stadia enthusiasts, we want people to understand what the platform is really about, opposed to a lot of the noise. The best way to do that is to kick the tires yourself. So definitely go to The Summer CC, at The Summer CC again, on Twitter, to get more information on that. Okay. All right. I think I did that. Okay. Now, back to our topic of discussion today, which is we're going to be talking about what separates Stadia and Luna longevity wise from the other platforms. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about cloud gaming history, because a lot of here's what happened. Let's get people up to speed. We got to keep it real. I mean, this shouldn't make anybody upset, but I know a lot of people feel that I personally may be biased against Microsoft and I want them to fail. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. I just know that Xbox is part of Microsoft. Microsoft has some of the best engineers in the world. And Xbox can actually do better when it starts landing certain products and services. I've had my issues with my Xbox One X and the software that came with it and the capabilities that were there. I mean, it was a great console, don't get me wrong, but to ask me to pay another $500 during as a mid-gen refresh, and it only has a lifespan of like 2 years, they've already canceled the platform. For it to have a retail lifespan of 2 years, and it really, you never really saw the apex of what that thing was supposed to put out. And then directly after launch, you had a game on its $200 counterpart to PlayStation 4 Slim that looked better than anything on the platform for a whole year, until Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. That tells you where Xbox lands with a lot of its things. Now, they may iron it out and work some things out. Game Pass gets a lot of accolades and stuff like that. The question, many people question, is that enough? Some people say yes, some people say no. And we'll see. Time will tell. But I think beyond Game Pass, which is great for the target demo of hardcore gamers, that is. It's a great way to game. Time will tell if the true demographic, which they say they want to use Game Pass to reach the 1.5 billion gamers or 2 billion gamers out there, in addition to the 300 million console gamers. Can they do that with Game Pass alone? Because Game Pass, as it's structured, gives you a variety of games for a very reasonable price. The thing is that the average gamer, those that are of that 1.5 billion, they don't play a whole bunch of games all the time. Like they like to play a couple. Like the average gamer buys a couple of games a year. And when it comes to console gamers in particular, maximum 7 games they'll have in a generation life cycle. Right? So everybody's not buying up everything. And Game Pass is for those that do that. So what Game Pass has to do is it's not servicing a market need that's particularly with 1.5 billion gamers. What Game Pass is trying to do is convince those 1.5 billion gamers that, hey, maybe you want to play more games. Here we go. Don't worry about owning them. I mean, you can at a lower price, but we really need you to get into the subscription model just to try them out, just try out games. That's not people's regular inclination. The regular inclination is, I'm going to buy a couple games a year, and I'm going to just play those. I know what I like. I might tinker with a third one. Maybe a fourth one if I'm feeling lucky or I got a little extra money in my pocket burning a hole through it. But generally, it's 2 games. So Xbox Game Pass is trying to change your habit. It's a tall order. Where you'll see why I call it the safety net, the cloud safety net for Luna and Stadia. They're not necessarily asking you to change your habits. They're basically adding on with their ultimate gaming goal. Once they reach their apex, they're adding on to something that already has hundreds of billions of people participating in it already. And they're adding another pay stream into it for them to engage in it further. So it's really not asking you and like turning the Titanic type of way to change your habits. Xbox is asking you to contemplate. From going from buying just your 2 games a year to spending around $180 a year, an additional $60 to spending a total of $180 a year to try out more games. And that subscription service may not necessarily have those 2 games that you gotta have each year. So you're talking about raising the general gamer's output of income from the 120 to the 180. That's a tall order. It's a tall order, right? Now, I think I misspoke earlier. I think I said 100 million gamers, not 100 million gamers. It was 100 billion hours. I don't have the exact numbers of 1v1 gamers that participated in these hundreds of billions of hours, but a lot. We're going to get into that. So again, I wanted to correct something that I've said earlier because it just hit me. There isn't hundreds of millions of gamers per se. There might be. But what we know is that they've engaged in hundreds of billions of hours into something. And all Stadia and Luna want to do at the end of the day is add another way for them to engage in something that they're already doing, opposed to what Game Pass is doing, which is trying to change your gaming habits. Tall order, I think, for the latter end. We're going to get into that. All right. So you had Xbox cloud streaming, or whatever they call it now. I don't think it goes by xCloud anymore. But you had Xbox come out with, it's still in beta. They still call it a beta. And some question whether it's going to be in beta until it catches up with Stadia, which, Stadia is not going to stop. They're going to keep working. So we don't know when that's going to happen, or until, hopefully, rather, I hope that they don't do that. It's out of beta when they feel like they can reach 4K and have a great stream quality, and hopefully that can happen in 2021. We'll see. That being said, xCloud made the announcement that they were upgrading to the Series X server blades in their cloud infrastructure, powered by Azure, and that people were going to be seeing significant improvements. Now, none of that was a lie. Xbox didn't lie about that. I know there's a lot of people that say, Xbox misled me and all this other stuff. Well, misled is a different terminology, but they didn't lie. Yes, they upgraded to Xbox Series X server blades. Yes, you saw significant improvement. But here's the problem. Those Xbox Series X server blade upgrades didn't mean that on the user end, you were getting Xbox Series X performance as far as fidelity is concerned. You were seeing things that were similar to the Xbox Series S architecture and output as far as 120 frames, you know what I'm saying, 1080p capabilities. But A, it wasn't Xbox Series X capabilities, and B, the output, the stream quality, all that stuff was not what people expected. It wasn't what they hoped for. The output quality was degraded in comparison to its peers. And I think a lot of people were hopeful, because a lot of people give accolades to the Stadia technology, but it doesn't have the games right now. So they were really hoping that Xbox could find the secret sauce and just mimic what Stadia was doing. All it was is they had to put those Xbox Series X server blades out there. That's all it took. That's all it would take. Once they did that, it would be able to, do what Stadia can't do all the way around. And that didn't happen. So then that in turn led to a lot of people in the mainstream gaming community to say a lot of negative things about cloud gaming in general. And I want to clear it up, okay? So let's do just that, because there's a lot of armchair quarterbacking and it is not fact-based. Okay. So let me see. Make sure I do this right. First and foremost, let me show you this. A lot of people are making a comparison to OnLive. They're saying that OnLive failed because cloud gaming just cannot replace dedicated device gaming. They're erroneously taking the fault in the lack of technology with OnLive. They're looking at Game Pass or Game Pass streaming or Xbox cloud streaming, and they're saying, look, this is very similar. I mean, the tech probably improved. Yeah, we're getting a 1080p stream instead of a 720p stream that you're getting with that you got with OnLive. But again, we're in 4K right now, so it's like the same thing. It incrementally went up, but so did the dedicated device output. This is nowhere near that. This is bad. Cloud gaming is bad. Here's the problem. Number one, OnLive is a horrible example. I'm going to read an excerpt on why it's a horrible example. This is why OnLive failed. If you ask employees, this is from The Verge, from 2012, I think it is. It's an article written by Sean Hollister, August 28th, 2012, and it's titled OnLive Lost: How the Paradise of Streaming Games Was Undone by One Man's Ego. Former staffers told The Verge that though Steve Perlman was a technical genius, behind OnLive, his ego was the company's undoing. Okay, let's talk about this. If you ask employees, they point to a number of reasons why the paying users didn't come. Broadband in the United States is fickle, and even though the households with a good connection, if one family member started up a YouTube video, that could disrupt the other's game. Within those broadband restraints, the service streamed games at a compression 720p resolution on par with consoles at the time, but which didn't look as good as titles rendered by a proper PC. That could have alienated early adopters, whom the company relied on for positive word of mouth. Despite these limitations, game publishers insisted on charging, a similar MSRP. Okay, let's attack all that. Yes. Did the limitations of cloud gaming opposed to dedicated device gaming have a role to play with that? Yes. But it was more prominent back then than it is now. OnLive back then was the cloud gaming Mustafa. You know what I'm saying? Like they were the cloud gaming aficionados. Xbox cloud gaming are the farthest thing from the cloud gaming aficionados. As a matter of fact, versus all of the major peers, they are last. They're last. They're worst. Their performance is the worst. You're going to find outliers here and there that'll say, oh no, my experience with xCloud is better than GFN. But when you go through the cloud gaming community, when people test stuff, the majority of the time, I'm willing to say even, and I don't have scientific proof of this, but I do see more often than not, and I do interact with a lot of people because I'm a content creator and very vocal in the cloud gaming community, and others share the same experience, that the overwhelming majority of people have the worst cloud gaming experience with Xbox, cloud gaming service. Now, what I don't know scientifically But I'm willing to say 9 times out of 10, Xbox, out of all the cloud gaming services, is going to be your worst experience. Next to stream cloud gaming. Stream cloud gaming is okay in network, meaning in your house, in the same house where the computer, where the game is being played from is working. But when you go out of network, when you try to play on your phone, or if the computer that is streaming from is at one house and you go to another router and you're in another network, that's when it becomes a mess. But only second to Steam cloud streaming, which again, they're just tinkering with. xCloud is the worst. So you're comparing what was capable of the head honcho of cloud gaming back then to the worst performer right now. That is not a fair litmus. The proper litmus is to say, okay, these were the problems that we ran into back then with the head honcho, which was on live. But who is the head honcho now? And again, I don't have the exact numbers. I'm willing to say 9, maybe 8 out of 10 in worst case scenarios. It's going to be Stadia. So if you want to see the leaps and bounds that cloud gaming has made since on live, you can't use the bottom tier services. You got to look at Stadia, Shadow, Luna, PS Now even, and GFN. You got to look at them. But again, I think the most spot on comparison to see where the technology is at is Stadia. Stadia's technology is the best. It's the best. So you should only compare the best to the best. So so those that are using on live are using it incorrectly, and again are armchair quarterbacking, and the comparison is foolish. But here's what really makes it foolish. The article continues, but above all, on live failed to secure the most important reason that gamers migrate to a new platform: top tier games. Electronic Arts and Activision, the two biggest video game publishers, were no shows on live. Negotiations failed with Bethesda, maker of the wildly popular Oblivion and Skyrim role-playing games, and Valve, which makes Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, Team Fortress, and Portal. The article continues on. The thing is, Electronic Arts was actually on board. Former staffers told us Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age Origins were ready and would have launched on day one if it wasn't for Steve Perlman. At GDC 2009, when OnLive revealed itself to the world in style, a rival named Gaikai did the same behind closed doors. And when Gaikai CEO David Perry came to the OnLive booth to greet his competitor, Perlman started screaming at him. On June 17, 2010, the day OnLive launched, Gaikai announced a multi-year deal with Electronic Arts. Perlman received the news in the OnLive booth at E3 2010. He went ballistic, one witness recalls. We had to slam the conference room shut and crank up the music so people would not hear him. Perlman told EA he wanted exclusivity, even though Gaikai only offered game demos via the web rather than fully playable purchases. When EA refused, Perlman ordered his staff to remove all EA titles from OnLive. We were instructed in no certain terms to pull the EA games at the very last minute. One ex-staffer related might at the time argue against the move, but Perlman wouldn't hear it. Shortly after launch, McGarvey was sidelined. So, as told by these employees, the biggest nail in the coffin was the fact that they couldn't land these games. The top tier games that we talk about all the time, that Stadia definitely needs, and that other platforms gotta have. You know, your Fortnites, your Apex Legends, your Call of Duties, your Maddens, your NBA 2Ks, all that stuff, right? The difference is, in 2009, the CEO of OnLive, the head honcho of cloud gaming, only wanted this stuff on his platform and was angry to see it elsewhere. Didn't embrace it being anywhere else, cloud gaming wise, except on his platform. But here in 2021, you have entities like Stadia and Luna fighting to get the games also. They don't care where else they are. Stadia, as a matter of fact, as far as making exclusive titles themselves, backed away from that. That's not to say there will never be any exclusive game coming second party. But as far as them fighting that exclusive fight, they realize, as was recognized in 2012, that your starting place when it comes to cloud gaming is you gotta have the games that people recognize and the top tier games that people want to play. And when it comes to the mainstream gamer, the casual, it's not necessarily exclusives. Exclusives are great and a necessary evil, for lack of a better term, to sell your box. There is no box to sell. If I simply want to try out Stadia, I just enter my Google account and there we go. You don't need that lore. Man, I would love to play Call of Duty on the go, but I can do it through Stadia the same way. Let's fire it up and see how it works. Totally different from the restraints and the needs of dedicated device gaming. OnLive fought against it. The platforms of today, including Stadia, are fighting for it. They're embracing it. Crossplay. Rainbow Six Siege crossplay is such a hit on Stadia right now that you have the top tier Rainbow Six players saying, hey, look, if you want to get into Rainbow Six Siege without all the cheating, let's migrate over and play it on Stadia. Okay? So that's why OnLive is a failure as a comparison. So first and foremost, let's get that out of our vocabulary. All right. Let me see if I can make sure I go to the right. Here we go. I want to go to the video part. Next, I want to talk about this fear that people have about cloud gaming. The fear is that cloud gaming is trying to take over dedicated device gaming right now. I want to show you guys something else. Here, let's take a look at this. This is from NASDAQ. And it talks about how cloud gaming computing is changing the world of games and gaming. NASDAQ. This is not, Bill and Bob and them's, Rib Shack down the street and them's. This is NASDAQ. It says, while cloud gaming is currently a minuscule part of the video gaming industry, its scope could be huge. Today, video gaming engages around 2.8 billion people globally, and that number is expected to exceed 3 billion by 2023. Now let's get over to some more relevant data here. In 2021, the total video game industry is projected to reach 189 billion in revenue. According to another estimate, the global gaming market is expected to reach 257 billion by 2025. Now, where does cloud gaming fit into this? It is estimated that cloud gaming revenues will exceed 1 billion in 2021. So even though the gaming industry is expected to be at 189 billion in 2021. Cloud gaming is only going to make up $1 billion of that. And the global cloud gaming market is projected to reach $7 billion by 2027. And 2025, gaming altogether is projected to reach $257 billion. It also says, though, that these projections show that it's expanding its CAGR of 47.9 over the forecast period, 2020 to 2027, which is impressive. It's market talk, but it's definitely showing that even if you just gauge just the last few years of cloud gaming and how its rate of growth is, it's very impressive, and that's why everybody's jumping on board on it. As far as the market is concerned, it's going to be a big thing. Just not right. I mean, it's a lucrative thing for the top companies that are involved while they're in the building phases, but it's not gangbusters like the rest of gaming is. Not yet. These are the building phases. It's going to be a 2% business if you calculate the numbers that are given here by NASDAQ. It's going to be a 2% business, maybe 4% business in 2027. Does that sound like it's a threat to dedicated device gaming right now? No, but it's the future. In the future, years from now. The future is not now, the future is the future. So all this angst, all this anger, all this hate towards cloud gaming is unwarranted. Because a lot of it is originating from people that are under the misconception that cloud gaming is coming to take away your dedicated device gaming in 2021. That's a farce. Nobody believes that. Now, people say, well, Xbox was saying all this, and Stadia did the GDC and talked about the 10.7 teraflops, and people don't need cloud game. I mean, they don't need a console in order to game. I mean, that's true. You don't need it, but they're not here to take it away. If you can't access, or if dedicated device gaming is too inconvenient for you, either because of financial reasons or just because of time restraints with downloads and putting pieces together for a PC or whatever, cloud gaming is your answer. So you got to look at the message and looking through it at the right lens. If you have been disengaged from gaming because dedicated device gaming just was too inconvenient for you, then you don't need a dedicated device in order to get into gaming. Not that dedicated devices are going to be burned to smoldering ash. It's just, if you are those on the periphery that had an issue of obtaining hardware, especially during COVID, this is a bigger season of that than ever. The prices of GPUs, bigger season than that than ever. Then here goes a solution for you. It doesn't mean that the half or the majority or whatever is that's a problem for them right now. No, it's still early. But there are gamers, enough of them, that can generate $1 billion. It's nothing to sneeze at. And that's good building money, infrastructure money, to subsidize your efforts to a degree so you can build. So when this thing does take off several years from now, that you were able to subsidize those costs of doing just that, building. So despite how you may have misinterpreted what you saw at GDC, here's an actual quote from the head of games at Stadia, Mr. Jack Buster. Mr. Jack Buster was asked in an interview, May of 2021, several months before the launch, how do you convince an audience that's already built up games library friendships online to shift over to your platform as opposed to ones they spent 10 or more years growing up with? So Mr. Buser looked at that answer and pretty much said, hold on. We're not flipping the switch and expecting everybody to come over overnight. This is a process, a marathon, not a sprint. This is going to take some time to come to a realization. This is the most centrifuge statement that says that. The same device, he says, you are using certainly is better and more rich game experiences. He's conceding that look, right now out of the gate, you get more with dedicated devices. That will take time to play out, meaning that will take time, years, for that shift to go in a different direction. Because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia has improved so much from years ago. I can't believe I'm still using the same screen, but that's the third piece there. So again, Stadia has improved so much from years ago, meaning that we understand that out of the gate, this is only going to be for a niche group, select few. And we're building, and that building is going to take years for us to get to a point to where the average gamer will look at this and say, now this is something that I can dig, that I can get into. But we have to build to get there. And here's another thing with the miseducation. So a lot of people say, well, why even release if you got to build? In order for them to get there, they utilize AI and machine learning. The AI and machine learning has to train itself to get there. Stadia used that AI and machine learning to get the platform from a 1080p 60 ceiling to a 4K 60 ceiling. Really 4K 120, but they're only able to output 4K 60 because of the codecs that they're using. But we've already talked to devs, we had them on our shows, that said, oh no, when I'm creating my game, I'm getting output of 4K 120. It's just that right now, what the platform is able to put in the gamer's hands through the cloud is 4K 60. Right? So, but that's going to take years for all this to build up to get to the point to where people are looking at the cloud. They're looking at dedicated devices. It is completely indistinguishable, and things might even lean in a direction for the cloud to the average gamer. There are those of us right now that things are like that already, even in its infancy stage. But that's just a minority, a real small minority, lucrative enough to subsidize the building phase, but it's a minority nonetheless. 1 billion out of 189 billion? That's not even 1%. You understand? This is going to take time. This is a sprint. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And the game, the platform holders, the investors, the analysts, they all know this. You have been misinformed by the media, and maybe some of the platform, like Microsoft has been doing a lot of big talk. And then Stadia follows afterwards and says we're releasing, and then y'all just assume that the rhetoric that Microsoft was talking applied to Stadia. But y'all didn't read this. Y'all didn't do y'all research. And y'all armchair quarterbacking stuff that you don't have the facts on. Understand you got this all wrong. It is the future, but the future isn't now, it's the future. I don't need to send dictionaries to people. Do I? Maybe I do. Let's do this. Definition of future. The time or period of time following the moment of speaking or writing. Time regarded as to still to come. At a later time. Later. And if you listen to Jack Buser, he says they will take time to play out because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia has improved so much from years ago. Years. What does NASDAQ say? That it may become a 2% business when you calculate the numbers. Maybe 4% by 2027. We still got years, the future. Just because some of your favorite publications that play on your ignorance made it seem like that these cloud gaming boogeymen were coming from up under the bed to steal your consoles and your PC parts. Because you listen to them, because you don't vet stuff. That's not a reflection on these platforms. That's a reflection on your ability to kick the tires and quality control the bull crap that you absorb. It's a you problem. It's a you problem. Now let's jump down to Stadia and Luna. Here's why Stadia and Luna, I feel, will survive beyond all this hoopla. They have a safety net. A safety net that Xbox doesn't have. And I think this part might blow your mind. Again, I'm all on to education because when I get educated, and I didn't make this stuff up. This stuff had to be presented to me. I'm enlightened. I feel like cascading this down and helping others be enlightened as well. Shout out to Daniel Ahmad. He's a world-renowned gaming analyst. Okay. Let's see here. I can find this. Do I have? Okay. Here it is. The average console gamers buys 2 games per year. That's $120 a year. Right now, the average PlayStation 4 owner has 13 games in their library. The average Switch owner has 7 games in their library, whatever. But the biggest part of that is, he said, here's the facts. The average console gamers buys 2 games a year. Okay. Now I want y'all to pay attention to that. Because a lot of people say, well, Stadia has a problem because it doesn't have a draw to its platform. And when you're dealing with consoles, what draws people to the console is the fact that there's exclusives. But here's the thing. This is an interview with Eurogamer Richard Ledbetter, March of 2019, with Phil Harrison and Maj Bakar. And they tell you, let me see if I can find it. Stadia is not a console. You'll hear the word console so much in this interview, it'll blow your mind. So, I don't know if this is the part. Okay, yeah, this is the part. So, they were talking about YouTube integration, and Phil Harrison responds to Richard Ledbetter in part by saying, it, as in Stadia, is not a system, a game system. It's not a console. Contrary to rumors, we are not entering the console business at all. Actually, the point of our platform is that we are not a console. It's a place to gather. It's not about marketing a device or being device-centric in our thinking. We're not making a box. We're making a place. It's a place where you can have different types of game experiences, whether you are watching, playing, participating, whether you're being entertained or whether you're the one doing the entertaining, all that being joined together into one idea, very inclusive. So he says, our brand is Stadia. Our platform is called Stadia. It's the plural of stadiums. A stadium is a place where you can obviously have sports, da-da-da-da-da-da. But if you read further, let me see if I can find the word. I think I got to look for the word console again. Here's what Stadia actually is. And here's what Luna is. once they reach their apexes, they are platforms that will be used and integrated at some level, whether it's 100% or whatever, with their streaming services. With their content creation services. What do I mean by that? Is that once they reach their apex, if I'm PewDiePie with YouTube, if I'm Ninja with Twitch, and I'm playing Call of Duty, right now, you'll watch me. They got a lot of followers. You'll interact with me in the chat. And then, depending upon which little trinkets I've added to my streaming platform, you'll be able to interact with me somehow, in a raffle or whatever. Well, with Stadia, it tears down that fourth wall altogether. Instead of just watching Ninja, now Ninja, with the press of a button, can invite me in a game. Ninja can say, look, not just do you want to play this game, but do you want to play this game with me right now? And in order for you to have those capabilities with YouTube integrated, in order for you to have those capabilities with Twitch integration, you have to have Luna for Twitch. You have to have Stadia for YouTube. While you're in my chat, that particular integration, crowd play, and whatever they're going to call it on Luna. And the other the state share. Play this state that I was playing in the game that you were watching me do last night. And all the other features that are coming to Twitch /Luna and YouTube Google Gaming, or YouTube Gaming, rather. So regardless of them not having exclusives, them not being a console, them not doing everything that consoles do, they have that safety net that we were talking about, a safety net that the average game cloud platform just simply does not have. I want to share some numbers with you. 100 billion hours of gaming content was watched on YouTube in 2020. 10 billion of that was through live streams. Twitch was even higher, significantly higher. Their plan is to merge at some level, at some conjuncture, merge their game platforms with their content creation platforms in the manner that I just spoke of moments ago. That is something that is exclusive to them. So then the real battle for Google and Amazon in regards to gaming comes to just this. Who can reach more the fastest? And this is why they have a particular higher spot than anybody else in this regards. Why? Because the battle to reach more faster will be Google TV versus the Fire Stick. Who has more Google TVs in their house versus who have Fire Sticks? Now people may say, but Geforce Now is going to be there. And all. You're going to see mad advertisement. You're going to see crazy integration on Fire TV for Amazon opposed to anyone else. And right now at this point in time, you can't even load I don't think you got to sideload it. You can't even put GFN and xCloud natively on the Fire Stick. Amazon ain't playing. You want to play games? Yeah, it better be Luna. That's it. You definitely can't put Stadia on there. Now, Stadia is a little bit more lenient. With Google is a little bit more lenient, rather. But still, their devices are going to cater to their platform. Definitely. May not be as rough and cutthroat as Amazon, but it's still going to cater. Another way it's going to cater is the white labeling part of all this. Both Stadia and Luna are doing white labeling, but they're doing it in different ways. Stadia already talked about this white labeling where they said, hey, we're going to work with partners to utilize our infrastructure and maybe even start their own streaming platform. Now, many people may look at that and they may say, well, hold on. Why not put the Stadia branding on it or make it part of Stadia? Well, if I'm Activision and I want to create my own streaming platform, whether it's within Stadia or it's within its own platform, I'm still going to charge you $14.99 a month. The same that you see with Luna, right? You see the same thing with Luna. Luna just has it embedded within it. But here's the kicker. Here's why I think Stadia's methodology towards this is smarter. Because you could do it within Stadia, like how Ubisoft Plus is, or you could do it externally. But it's not going to matter. Here's why it's not going to matter. Number one, you're going to know it's powered by Stadia. So Stadia gets paid, and Google gets paid anyway that it happens. Second, so therefore, if it's on Stadia, if you use your streaming platform to be powered by Stadia, that's more likely that the one-off version of that game is going to be available for individual purchase through Stadia. Secondly, well, the second part of that notion is you know it's powered by Stadia, so you know it's going to work well. And if it's powered by Stadia and you know it's going to work well, then you know the Google TV portion of it is going to work well as well. So it's all the same. And you're going to have companies that are going to be more acceptable to that than having to be embedded in Amazon. I got to be embedded in Luna. Why can't I just do my own thing and run off of Luna's technology? That's what Google's thinking. We just say powered by Stadia at the bottom. That'll still generate enough fanfare, and it'll be playable on Google TV just like Stadia. It'll be playable on the peak just like, and you know it's going to be powered by Stadia. You're not going to get it bundled because these companies ain't going to bundle it. You have EA that's bundling EA Play, but EA Play is just a sub portion of what your typical streaming service is going to be. EA Origins, the full-throated streaming thing ain't part of Game Pass. So I think Stadia is taking a smart approach to this. But again, they say in addition to Stadia, while still growing Stadia, they'll power other platforms. And again, you knowing that Activision streaming service is going to work with Stadia's devices, the same device that Stadia works on, that's reassurance. And the money that they'll get will help subsidize Stadia even further, whether it's within the platform UI or it's a separate UI. It doesn't matter. And the more likelihood that it produces that Activision, and I'm just using them as an example, that Activision decides, well, Your methodology is friendlier to what we want to do as a company. We ain't got to slap your branding all over the place or be within your UI. We can do what we want to do. So we're just going to roll with y'all, and we're not going to put a channel on Amazon. That's crazy. That's a possibility, and that's crazy. But here's the real kicker. Because I gave a lot of arguments for Google. Fire Stick, there's a lot more Fire Sticks out there, and it's a lot easier to port games to Luna than it is to Stadia right now. So that's where the battle's going to be. But they both have safety nets within the fact that they both got streaming devices, they both got content creation platforms. They're going to be just fine. And they both have white labeling services. Here's the thing where I don't put Xbox here yet, if ever. Xbox signed PlayStation Now. They're looking into TV sticks. They signed a deal with Facebook because Xbox wants what Amazon and Google already have. They're trying to white label their technology and power PlayStation Now, while PlayStation Now was trying to kick in their teeth. They're looking into getting TV sticks. There's already 80 million Android TVs out there, devices, capable devices, and Lord knows how many Fire Stick devices out there. They signed a deal with Facebook Gaming, and maybe they'll be able to have some links via Instagram. YouTube Gaming, Twitch are the biggest game streaming platforms already out there. They're already solidified. Facebook Gaming is trying to get there. Xbox wants what Amazon and Google already have. That's why beyond the current gaming infrastructure, which could land them some success, the 300 million console gamers out there that might say, well, instead of buying a console, I'll just go to the cloud. It'll have success there. But to get to that other 1.5 billion gamers, Google and Amazon are better suited for that because of their streaming platforms, because of their white label services, and because of their streaming devices are a lot more advanced than what Xbox has right now. So to count them out really is looking solely at 25% of the pie and throwing out the other 75%. That's why all these Stadia is dead, cloud gaming is not the future, all these cries and all these ridicule things, they're fools. It's fool's gold right now. And all of you have to get better at vetting the information that you absorb before you come out here and blurt it on social media and hit send. So at the end of the day, cloud gaming's future will be heavily, as far as I'm concerned, will be led heavily by Amazon and Stadia, at least at first, when they're ready to burst off. They're far advanced. They're far advanced. Not only is their technology far advanced just on the gaming portion, but their inroads, their ways to reach you. Again, they have streaming devices that are all over the place. Who's going to pick up a Microsoft streaming device? And why? Why? And even if they make one for Xbox, who cares? All that's going to do is replace the potential of the 300 million consoles with 300 million, maximum devices out there with cloud streaming devices. The Fire Sticks and the Google TVs that are going to be out there are going to surpass that as time goes on. As a matter of fact, let's look right now. How many Fire TV devices are out there? Exist. Let's say exist. Exist. Let me see. How many Fire TV consumers? Let's look at that. Consumers. Look. Fire TV right now in December 8th, 2020 surpassed 50 million. And then hold on. Then I'm looking at May 2019. About 5 million more than Roku. Okay. So, all the streaming device. Look, you already have people that have these streaming devices in their homes for other purposes. There are a potential of 300 million console gamers out there. The vast majority of them utilize PlayStation. Xbox coming out with a streaming device, it's not going to get the saturation that a Fire TV is going to get, that a Google TV is going to get, because Google TV and Fire TVs work well and do a lot more with more than just gaming. And whatever Xbox puts out there, I'm sorry. Like other Xbox products, it's not going to have the longevity that a Google TV and a Fire TV has. Already, just being out several months, the Google TV is part of the 80 million Android TV devices, capable devices that are out there. Fire TV has surpassed 50 million, just 50 million active users. I don't even know how many consumers there are altogether. They're just talking about active users. Xbox putting a streaming stick out there that may be Xbox capable, that might have some apps and stuff on there. It's not going to get the saturation of a Google TV or a Fire TV. It's not going to get that in the same time frame. That's why Google and Amazon are well advanced as far as their saturation is concerned. Again, the white labeling efforts are more advanced. Their streaming or their content creation platforms are far more advanced. And their devices. They're already out there with their devices, okay? Xbox will be trying hard to play catch up. They'll have to shake things up, though, a little. They're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive. And they're going to have to land their products and services a lot better to play catch up. Now, for now, gaming will persist as it is, as it has. But we will see some major shakeups in the next 7 to 10 years. And this will be ushered in by the new generation, the younger gamers like my son, who don't care about the console war, that just want to pick up something and play a game on it. They're going to decide this. They're a huge reason why analysts are saying, right now for the next few years, it's going to be a minuscule part, as NASDAQ said. But it's growing rapidly and it's going to burst out the seams when these new gamers come in. It's because of them, in large part. All right. With that said, that's it from your boy. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Cloud Gaming Chronicles. We're going to be airing episodes as we can. Again, and look for that facelift from PNTS Network. I'm going to be very excited. Again, don't forget to check out the Summer Community Championships. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful